Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. I have not been very present on my channel lately because I was extremely sick for like 2 weeks about a month ago, and then I got really busy with work and I just haven't been feeling very motivated to be here, but I'm forcing myself to be here. And the topic we're going to discuss today is cold sores or herpes simplex virus 1. The story of how I got herpes was back when I was 17. My boyfriend, who had a cold sore, decided to kiss me. He had been having cold sore outbreaks for his entire life, and I knew nothing about them. That's not something that was discussed in any of the health classes I was taking in high school, and so I didn't realize how serious they were, how contagious they are. I didn't know that I was going to get incredibly sick just from a cold sore, because I didn't even realize that a cold sore was herpes. So anyways, he kissed me. I turned into a monster because I had cold sores on my top lip, on my upper lip. It was everywhere. Like, it was bad, like, and they were huge, and I ended up getting so sick, like the sickest I've ever been. I couldn't work. I didn't even want to go out in public. And I especially didn't want to face my boyfriend because I felt like a monster. I have dealt with cold sores since then. Obviously, that was my worst outbreak because that was my very first outbreak. But it was really hard to control them because I was getting them probably like at least once a month for a while. And the only thing I was using at the time was Abreva, which I guess it kind of helped, and then, of course, when I had my first outbreak, I was prescribed Valtrax, which I would never take anymore because I am holistic now and I don't take prescription medication anymore. But anyways, it was really hard to manage the outbreaks at first, and it was hard to keep them from spreading. And eventually I found colloidal silver, and colloidal silver was so helpful with controlling the outbreaks and keeping them from spreading on my lips, making them heal way faster. And then I realized, after reading a lot about colloidal silver, your body can treat colloidal silver as like a heavy metal, and so I didn't want to keep using that every time I had an outbreak. At the time, I had Force of Nature, the hypochlorous acid sanitizing spray that you can make at home. Your body produces it naturally anyways, and so I started using that on my cold sores. I would just spray it on my lip area, and that was so helpful with keeping the cold sores at bay, keeping them from spreading, making them heal so much faster. I don't have the Force of Nature cleaner machine anymore, but you can also get something like Briotech, which they make different forms of hypochlorous acid. I'm honestly not sure what the difference is between the different ones they have, but this one specifically is the topical skin spray. And so I use this. For a while, I was also using ozone water because I have the sanitizing spray bottle from O3 Waterworks, and it's mainly used for cleaning, but I was like, I'm going to use these on my cold sores because I think it's going to work, and it did actually work. You can also purchase ozonated oil, and that should also be helpful. But there's things like topical oregano oil that you can use. There's so many other solutions that I didn't realize were possible until I became crunchy and holistic, maybe like 15 years ago. So I've mainly only gotten cold sore outbreaks in this region, never on my bottom section. I have one time gotten one in my nose, and that was really uncomfortable. And I luckily had never gotten any in my eyes until my son accidentally gave them to me in my eyes. I don't have like 100% confirmation that's what it was, but I'm like 95% sure that's what it was. So when my son and I got really sick about a month ago with what I assume was the flu, we both broke out, I broke out really badly with cold sores. And then a couple days later, he had a few, and whenever he gets his, they look like little ant bites. When I get them, they blow up, but not as bad as they did when I first got them. Anyways, I noticed one night when he was sleeping, he was going like this because he had a runny nose. And I think at one point he had like hit me in the eye or something. And I'm pretty sure that's what spread them to my eye. So I was terrified of getting ocular herpes because it can lead to blindness if you don't treat it right away. So what made me think that I had it is my right eye started becoming extremely blurry. It just felt very uncomfortable. I know some people are going to think, well, maybe it was just dry eye or something like that, but no, because when I would wake up in the morning, I would have this crusty gunk come out of my eye. So anyways, I started just spraying the hypochlorous acid into my eye. And of course, I was going to tell you don't spray it in your eye. And this is not medical advice. This is just what I've done to treat it because I didn't want to go to the eye doctor. And I didn't want to take any kind of eye drops or prescription medication that they were going to tell me to take. So I started just spraying the hypochlorous acid in my eye. If I didn't have that, I would use the ozone water. Of course, it's going to be a little drying, but it doesn't hurt. It just feels like you're spraying water in your eye. But again, this isn't medical advice. This is just what I personally did because I didn't want to go to the eye doctor. In addition to spraying the hypochlorous acid in my eye to help heal or treat the herpes in my eyes, I started also putting the X39 patch, which I've talked about before. I started putting it right by my eye. And if you aren't familiar with the X39 patch, it's the known as the stem cell patch. It helps regenerate your stem cells and make them healthier. Anyways, with ocular herpes, you're really prone to getting scars in the eyes, and that's what can lead to the blindness. And if it's not treated quickly enough, it can definitely lead to blindness. I was mainly concerned about the scarring because I have EDS, or I'm like very certain I have EDS, and I was afraid that my eye, my cornea or whatever, was going to start scarring really bad from the herpes. So I started also using the X39 patch on like as close as possible to my eye. Like you could even put it on this way, just don't put the sticky side on your eye. Or you can just like stick it onto a mask and then just put the mask over your eye area. So some other symptoms I had from ocular herpes was it just kind of felt like my eye was going to like burst or pop out. They just felt like there was a lot of pressure. And when I started wearing the X39 patch here, it gave me a lot of relief. And back then, like before I knew about the patch, I would have been like, there's no way that's going to do anything. But it's helped me with so many other areas where I've had discomfort in the body. And so it didn't surprise me that this helped. I also think that it's helping regenerate any kind of damage that occurred because of the herpes. In addition to that, I have been using the Can-C eye drops, which have glutathione in them. I have also been using these eye drops. They are from Doc of Detox. They're fulvic nano drops. It's basically liquid nutrients for your eyes. And so I was originally using them for dry eyes, but I mean, I feel like this has been helping tremendously, as well as the Can-C eye drops and the X39 patch, as well as the hypochlorous acid, which I was using to treat the infection. My eyes are no longer infected from what I can tell. I just feel like there's some damage that occurred, like the scarring, and so I do feel like the X39 patch and the eye drops, I don't have the other eye drops with me right now, but I feel like those have helped me a lot with just relieving the discomfort in my eye, and hopefully it will go away completely. It's still a little bit there, but it's not as bad as it was. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful for you.